So my top 3 tips to get on my show: number 1, have really good music. So have it mixed and mastered properly. Put your best foot forward in terms of what you sound like and your lyrical content. Send me music. And then when you put your best foot forward, you can submit it through cyansonlinefind@gmail.com. Second tip of getting on my radio show: go to pirate radio first. So go to community radio stations that are local to you. I listen to a lot of pirate radio, and I like discovering music, so I would like to hear you via another DJ that I respect, and then I'll be like, oh, what's this? I want to play it as well. The third tip for getting played on my show is be in the clubs with your music. Get popping at club. I want to go clubbing, I want to hear your song, I want to feel the vibes, and I want to go on there and really be able to organically talk about you and your music and discovering your sound.
Okay, top 3 tips for a band that wants to get on the show. Number 1 is, well, for a start, to clarify things, I play everything that kind of falls under the umbrella of rock. So there's no if you're a pop punk band, don't feel like if you've ever tuned into the show towards the end and I'm playing, I don't know, something really extreme like Nails or something, that I'm not going to like your band. I play everything, and the whole thing should be a smooth transition from the start of the show. So don't worry about genre as long as it falls within the kind of remit of what you think I play on my show. Number 2, make sure that you've got your own voice for your band. In that I mean, if I get sent stuff that is like a second division version of a band that I love, I probably will give them a bit of time as well, because if they sound like a band I love, then they sound like a band I love. But do you know what I mean? If I'm way more into bands that sound like themselves, that have their own unique thing going on. Now, it doesn't mean to say that everything has to be unique, but something about your band makes it distinctly you. That's the thing with all the bands that I truly love, and the bands that have stuck with me, and the new bands that I'm finding that I'm suddenly super excited about, something like Sleep Token, is that they're very distinctive, they're their own thing. And number 3, I said it during the talk, but send me a link streaming with the option to download, rather than expecting me to get an email and go, cool, you've sent me a 40 meg WAV file and I'll just download this now on my steam powered internet.
So my first tip for getting your music played on the radio is to go right back to basics and make sure that you're the best that you possibly can be, because obviously we want to hear your best single, your best song. So I'd say before you even start approaching radio stations to play your music, make sure you've got a couple of tunes at least that you're really proud of and you're convinced that it can't get any better, so your songwriting is on top form. So my second tip for being played on the radio is to make sure you target the shows that you want your music played on. So don't bother approaching a Radio 1 show, for instance, with music which would sit better on Radio 2, and actually that's going to put people off looking at your emails if you haven't done your research beforehand.
Top 3 tips to get your song on Radio X. I would have to point you in the direction of John Kennedy to start with. So John Kennedy is our new music guru on Radio X. He's on every night, Monday to Thursday, 10 PM till 1 AM. So how to contact John? Well, you can contact John through the Radio X website. You can email him through the website. You could find yourself in his show, in his track listing, and actually getting played on National Radio X. Tip number 2 would be emailing it to me. I'm the head of music, I'm the deputy program director. I do have lots of other things to do in my day. I'm a pretty busy person in terms of being part of running the business that is Radio X. However, I do listen to new music as often as I can. I can't promise a response either, and I certainly can't promise that it would be a quick response, if I'm being brutally honest. And I would say the third tip for getting on Radio X would be another show that we have, a specialist show called Communion Presents, and Radio X has had a long partnership with Communion. Their live promoter is a guy called Maz Tapuni, and Maz does a radio show for us on a Sunday night on Radio X called Communion Presents. He is our other specialist presenter alongside John Kennedy, and he is definitely worth hitting up.
One, I would say when approaching a radio DJ like myself, put your best foot forward. So make sure you've got all your information correct in your email, like who you are, why you're contacting, your release information, where people can find you, the basic bits, and then a download link for your tune. Another good tip for contacting is use social media properly. So like sending a video on Instagram, probably not the best idea. Whereas like if you tweet a link out, that probably works. SoundCloud is a good place to upload your music, and you can download your music from SoundCloud. So make sure that you're using social media correctly if you're getting music to me via that. And then this one's bad because actually everyone downstairs done it. Okay, I'm gonna say it anyway. So third approach that I'm not really a massive fan of is giving me CDs. I don't have a CD player, unfortunately. I have one in my car, and I have one on my laptop, but I very rarely use them. So if you can get music to me digitally, that's always a lot better. I know it's quite bad, and the old school dons are gonna be like, no! But yeah, digital, I'm afraid.
Okay, so tips for hitting up a radio DJ in general. I think the main tip would be do your research. Make sure you know the kind of music that particular presenter likes, the kind of music that presenter naturally gravitates towards, making sure that you're kind of on point for the genre. Now, I know that that's tricky for some, so our very own John Kennedy on Radio X is wildly eclectic, so it's kind of difficult to pin on him any particular genre. However, there are lots of cases of people sending R&B tracks to rock stations, sending thrash metal tracks to dance stations. It's just about making sure that you know the person that you're approaching, or even if you don't listen to them, look at their track listings and try and spend some time listening to what they're up to, because that's the only way you're going to get the best communication with them.
I would say be aware of finding the DJ that is right for your band. Find the right fit, because across Radio 1 and 1 Extra, there are specific shows, especially in the specialist shows, that play different niches of genres, or in the case of mine, it's like everything within that umbrella. So work out the bands that you would ideally, a band that you would ideally want to tour with, or an artist you'd like to play shows with or collaborate with. Work out who's playing them, and you'll probably work out that that's the person that you should be approaching with your music, maybe.
So when you're sending your music to a radio station, email I think is the most kind of accepted way of getting your music across, but bear in mind that there are a lot of artists out there and a lot of pluggers, and they are also emailing. So you might not get a response at all, you might not get a response for a long time. It's hard to judge how many emails to send because you don't want to be a pest. And sometimes not having an answer means, unfortunately, your track's just not right for that particular show. So I would say when you're composing your email, make sure that it has a functioning streaming link, because this is really important, because the producer or DJ that you're sending it to needs to be able to access that music quickly and easily, ideally with one click. Now if you want to be really fancy, and I would definitely recommend this, I would enable that streaming link to be downloaded as well, because this way you can make sure the download never runs out. Is nothing worse than deciding that you want to play a tune on the radio and then going to download it and the download has expired and you've got 5 minutes before you go on air. So a streaming link, ideally also download link, and I'd also include some really short bullet points of who you are, what kind of music you're trying to make, and something about your artistic vibe and your ethos, which is always interesting for a DJ to give the listeners, to sort of give them a bit of background of where you've come from. Don't write a novel, no one's got time to read a novel. And also don't worry about, you can tell us who you sound like in terms of where you see yourself sitting in terms of genre and which acts are inspiring you, but don't spend ages telling us how your music sounds, because we're about to find out when we click on the link. Bear in mind that all DJs and producers are always looking for music. So it's not just a question of us sitting back and waiting for you guys to get in contact with us. We're actively out there going to gigs, listening for tips from people that we trust. So if you can get on the radar of somebody that we trust, we might hear about you that way. So approach those blogs, however small, do those gigs, build up your fan base, and we probably will hear about you. And then we'll find that email that you sent us in 2012 and think we probably should have listened then.
Everything about you